A common challenge facing SMEs in Kenya is that of access to startup and growth capital, with most financial institutions referring to them as high-risk borrowers. CNBC Africa takes a look into the funding opportunities available to them in this market.
Small and medium enterprises are important drivers of the Kenyan economy, accounting to up to 90% of all businesses in the country. This has prompted the government and the private sector to channel funds towards their growth.
Our model is receiving proposals from the communities. We evaluate those proposals and we take a decision whether or not to fund. And our decision is based on the following. Number one, does it meet our criteria? And our criteria is, we have a strategy. We have 6 strategic pillars: health, education, water, economic empowerment, the environment, and the 6th one is disaster management. So if a proposal fits in any of those pillars and it demonstrates that it will actually have an impact onto the community, a social impact onto the community, we put in our funds.
Financial institutions are increasingly unveiling their plans to become relevant to SMEs. The total SME lending portfolio was quoted at $99 million in 2013 alone. But financiers claim that many SMEs still lack knowledge on funding options available to them.
Sometimes I think SMEs don't always understand what is expected of them. So there's a real knowledge gap. They don't understand the implication of the finance. They don't understand how they can put their best foot forward. It goes back to a few things I said a moment ago. Can they present a balance sheet? Can they demonstrate to the financial institution that they're a good financial bet?
While SMEs work hard to expand their businesses, most funding and policy support by financial institutions leans towards low-risk businesses.
I'd want to say that it's supportive in very selective ways. Selective in the sense that depending on the industry you're in, then they will either be willing to support you or not. When you talk about our entertainment industry, it is considered a high-risk one, because then a lot of it is, as much as even there's the equipment element, there's a lot of also intellectual property which they cannot per se put or quantify. We have for a long time tried to get financing from banks and asking them to use our equipment as security, and it hasn't sufficed.
The International Finance Corporation is in the forefront in partnering with donors and financial institutions to enable easy access to funds.
There's the other end of the equation. You can make the money available for these financial institutions in the region to on-lend, but are SMEs ready to borrow that money? Do they keep their books adequately? Do they manage their inventory? Do they have strong human resource management? Are their technical skills sufficient to allow them to exploit the opportunities in the market?
Other private investors, such as the Safaricom Foundation, are also gathering resources to bridge the financing gap for small businesses.
We came to realize that many of them, particularly out of universities, they have good ideas, but they find it difficult to take it to the next level. They find it difficult because there is no ecosystem that properly supports the development of these ideas beyond the ideation stage. As a company, decided to start what we call a Spark Fund, which is a $1 million fund, which was started sometime last year. And the idea was that we will then work with developers to take their ideas from the early stages to prototype to actually testing in the market.
The country's SME space has also been marked by ongoing push for small businesses to tap into the vibrant capital markets to raise growth and startup capital.
We wholly support seeing a company not just listing on at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. So most of these startups For them, success is defined by two things. Number one, to get investors to put their money into their business ideas. Secondly, it's also for them to exit at some stage.
According to the local entrepreneurs, the Kenyan government seems to have acknowledged the growing role of SMEs in the economy. However, there is need to develop a legal and regulatory framework aimed at accelerating the growth of this sector.
Easier access to funding and not making it very bureaucratic and having a long process into getting funds. And like I was saying, just being able to learn more about businesses, you know, and not really keeping the funding to other better known industries as institutions or fast food shops. So, and for the government, I guess also being able to extend more work to the SMEs. We have had this, but sometimes it only ends up as news. It never really reaches down to the roots.